This preview brought to you by Harness Racing Victoria.
Adam Hamilton with you, having a look at this magnificent weekend of harness racing. It's Inter-Dominion time. There's 6 heats around Australasia, and it's going to be fantastic action. Remembering that expanded Sky Racing 2 coverage headed up by Greg Hayes for the 6 Inter-Dominion heats. Let's have a look at some of the, a couple of the major guaranteed pools that TAB are putting behind these Inter-Dominion heat nights. And for New South Wales punters, there is a guaranteed $50,000 cross-meeting Big Six pool. So that's straight out on the 6 Inter-Dominion heats around all of those venues. The first leg, the first heat at Addington over in New Zealand at 8:15 tomorrow night. So a $50,000 guaranteed pool there. And for the Victorian punters, something a little bit different. There's guaranteed $25,000 first 4 pools on heats 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So the only heat not included is that first one over at Addington with the small field. But for heats 2 through to 6, guaranteed $25,000 first 4 pools. Well, let's start now with a look at that Addington heat. And we're going to have a look at the fixed odds market here. It looks a match in 2 between the established star and the rising star. Terra to Love, the 3-time New Zealand Cup winner and one of the best paces to come out of New Zealand in recent times. He's drawn barrier 1 and he heads the betting at $1.70. Smolder, the rising star, the second favourite to win the Inter-Dominion final. He's drawn alongside in barrier 2, right outside of Terra to Love. He's at $2.10. And then the support cast includes Jive and Cullen at $12, the consistent Franco Ledger at $14 and Jason Rules at $21. Now, Terra to Love, we know all about his achievements. I want to show you the rising star. I want to go back to Smolder's last start-winning performance at Addington. This has got to be seen to be believed, and that's why we're going to show it to you. There he is, running second last in a race where it was leader dominated. The pace wasn't really on here. You've got sitting in the 1-1 trail Border Control, who goes around at Menangle tomorrow night. And there's Jive and Cullen, 1 out and 2 back in the red and white. Smolder should have no right to get into the race from second last. Here he is at the top of the straight, still second last. Let's go to Mark McNamara. Now, in fact, I'll take you through the final stages here. He's really letting down strongly down the outside, Smolder. It's an unbelievable performance. Border Control can't match him for speed, nor can Jive and Cullen. For a horse probably better known for his strength and brilliance, that was an incredible return to racing from Smolder, and it's really on that basis that I'm going to tip him to win this. Tactically, it'll be so interesting how the race is run. Terra to Love's got the gate speed probably to hold him, but will he want to get into a war if Mark Purdon is very keen on getting the lead on Smolder? I'm going to go for Smolder on top. I think Mark will be aggressive early. I don't think that he'll want to just try and park in behind Terra to Love. The first 2 out of this heat get through to the final, and you would expect it to be Smolder and Terra to Love. It's a matter of trying to work out the order. Smolder on top for me to beat Terra to Love. Tactically, it'll be fascinating. Franco Ledger's so consistent. He's got that little bit of class. I'll put him in for 3rd. And Jason Rules, I think he's got a nice turn of speed, and I expect this could develop into a sprint home. So 2 ahead of 1, 5 and 4 in the first of the 6 Inter-Dominion heats at Addington. Heat 2 is the first of 2 heats to be run at Menangle's Tabcorp Park, and this is classified as the New South Wales heat. Let's have a look at the fixed odds market here. It's been one-way betting on Bow Tide. He went up $1.50, he's into $1.40. He's been back to the exclusion of all others. The Gold Ace has drawn out wide. He's drifted to $6.50. Suave Stewie Lombo has got explosive speed, but he's also drawn out wide at $10. 2IC's a real up-and-comer, but it's a big test to step up into this league. He is at $12. Going to take you back to Bow Tide. I think he's clearly the one to beat. In fact, I think he'll just win this heat. We're going to go back and have a look at his last start win at Menangle. He's had 2 runs this preparation. They basically put him on ice for a little while after the Miracle Mile and resisted the temptation to go to Victoria. There he is in front, Bow Tide. He balanced up early in this heat, went around and took the lead off Mac Beauty. And well, I think it's just a win of extreme arrogance. Let's go to the call of Freddie Hastings.
Under pressure, Publitz on the outside of Mark Beauty. No run, TONTO. Jared King comes out of a trail and moves up further out, and then Satellite Ace and Pure Power hasn't moved on Bow Tide. And the Miracle Mile winner is coasting down the straight from Mark Beauty, TONTO along the pegs, but Bow Tide easily. Mark Beauty second, TONTO third, Jared King fourth, Publitz fifth.
Couple of things to consider there, and Kevin Thompson calling that one for us, of course, not Freddie Hastings, but a couple of things to consider. Now, Bow Tide won seemingly with a tank full of petrol. He left Mac Beauty standing. Mac Beauty then came out last week and beat For a Reason. So the form line is absolutely superb. I think he's had a great preparation for this. I don't think he'll get involved in the early speed burn with the likes of the Gold Ace and Suave Stewie Lombo. I think they'll be happy to balance him up early, James Rattray. It is 2,400 metres. Go around, sit outside them, maybe have a look for the lead. There is a chance, because it's a heat, he might be able to run round and get the front. If not, I think he'll still be too good if he's got to sit outside of them. Bow Tide, it doesn't surprise me he's been backed off the boards to win it. I'm going to put 2IC in for second. I think he's a real smoky if he can get his way through to the final, and I think he's an emerging star in harness racing, 2IC. Number 12, the Gold Ace I've put in. His chances depend on how hard he's got to work from the wide draw, and the same thing can be said to Suave Stewie Lombo. Most likely Suave Stewie Lombo will be first across to the marker pegs. Will he want to take the trail on the Gold Ace? And in turn, will Bow Tide be able to go around and get the lead? 8, 1, 12 and 11 for me in Heat 2. Let's go over to the third heat now as we have a look at the fixed odds market. This is by far the strongest depth-wise to be run at Melton's Tabcorp Park. All of the early betting has been for Restrepo. He's been backed virtually to the exclusion of all other runners. There was a $2,500 bet earlier at $2.50. He's been $2.50 into $2.25. Caribbean Blaster 4 out to $4.20. I'm Causing Terror at $5. Kian Cullen drawn to follow Restrepo from inside of the back row at $6. A bet or punt at $7. And Bitter Bliss has drawn nicely, but oh, to be honest, who knows which one's going to turn up. He is a $14 chance. I want to take you back to probably the key lead-up race to the Inter-Dominion Series, not just for this heat, but maybe overall. This was the Hunter Cup almost 2 weeks ago at Melton's Tabcorp Park. Now, Restrepo, he's a favourite to win this heat. There he is in between runners in the yellow. So at this stage of the race, we've got Caribbean Blaster. He's certainly he's running on out wide in the black and yellow. Chris and me's outside of the leader. Restrepo's held up. He hasn't got a lot of room here. There's the Gold Ace. He's in the blue colours about to peel to the outside. And a bet or punt who runs in the Victoria heat. He is getting the run up inside of the tyring, smoking up on the inside. So Chris and me in front, Caribbean Blaster. And Restrepo doesn't really get a chance to wind up here. He's not the explosive horse he was of maybe 12 months ago. I think he's stronger than anything else. All good performances there. Caribbean Blaster, very good. Of course, Chris and me's not in the Inter-Dominion Series. The Gold Ace worked home nicely. Restrepo was winding up near the line, and a bet or punt finishing very strongly. But he had more daylight than Restrepo did over the final stages. I can't tip him really conclusively, but logic tells me I've got to put Restrepo on top from the draw. The big question mark is how much gate speed he'll show. I'm going to go for Restrepo on top. Caribbean Blaster's got a real challenge now that he's drawn outside of the back row. It could be the race is not run to suit him. He'll have to do a lot of the bullocking work himself and probably try and sustain a long 3-wide run to be able to get into the action. Kian Cullen, gee, be dangerous if Restrepo leads and he sits on Restrepo's back. Forget the Hunter Cup run from him. He was overdriven. Things didn't turn out as Connections might have hoped, and he got tired late, but he wasn't disgraced. I'm Causing Terror. I think at this level he probably needs to find the marker pegs in front to win. I still think there's a little chance, even though he's not blessed with a whole stack of gate speed, that he could do that. I'm respecting him as well, but I'm going Restrepo from the draw, number 1 on top to beat number 11 Caribbean Blaster, number 8, Keyang Cullen, and number 4, I'm Causing Terror. This is a heat. When you consider the first 3 get through, there's so much depth in it. I really think this is a heat where 1 or possibly even 2 of the wild cards could come into play. Remembering 12 of the 14 final spots will be automatically selected from finishing positions in the heats, and there are 2 wild card spots available to make up the final field of 14 runners. So that's 3 heats down, 3 more to go. The 4th heat is run at Menangles Tabcorp Park, and this is the supplementary heat. It was won last year by Marsish, but as we have a look at the betting, his indifferent form this year means that there's not a lot of support for him. There's been a little nibble. He's been $12 into $11, and he is drawn nicely there in barrier 1. But other than winning the Pure Steel at Ballarat, which probably suited him from a standing start, his form this season has been quite disappointing. For a Reason is a commanding favourite, but unlike Bow Tide, punters haven't wanted to dive straight into the short odds. He's fractionally easy at the $1.55, Franco Nelson at $4.60. Support has been for Bow Tide because he is the likely leader, and also a little bit of support for Marsish, even though he's at the big odds. I want to take you back to having a look at For a Reason, running second to Mac Beauty last Saturday night. Now, For a Reason's previous form: brilliant winning the Victoria Cup, stunning winning the Goulburn Cup when he made a couple of runs there. But this is the vulnerable underbelly, if you like, of For a Reason, when he's got to do the bullocking work himself. He had to make a run to get outside of Mac Beauty. At this stage of the race, you would have said he's got Mac Beauty covered. But Mac Beauty loves rolling along. He just seems to keep finding when he can roll along in his races. For a Reason went from travelling to under pressure, but he kept fighting it out. Mac Beauty, remembering Bow Tide, easily beat Mac Beauty a week earlier. Mac Beauty was right back to his best here. And there's Monofeet running a really cheeky race on the outside, and Suave Stewie Lombo. He runs 4th there after sitting behind his stablemate, taking the trail on Mac Beauty last week. My selections, not with a whole lot of confidence. I am going for a Reason, though. And when I say confidence, I refer to, do you want to take the $1.55? Not for mine. Here's the upside from last week. That was a mile. This is 2,400 metres. It's going to be a lot harder for Mac Beauty, who does clash with For a Reason again here, to sustain that pressure over 2,400 metres and be able to hold off For a Reason. I think For a Reason can turn the tables, but the betting reflects probably an over-exaggeration of the importance of the 2,400 metres. Going to tip For a Reason. Mac Beauty, or he'll be in front again. He'll be rolling along. He'll certainly give For a Reason something to catch. Franco Nelson's run in the Hunter Cup was absolutely fantastic. Made an early run around them, then he got shuffled back through the field, and he was finishing very strongly at the finish of the race. It's a challenge, though, for a 4-year-old from a wide draw to try and step up and win an Inter-Dominion heat. And then there's a big gap to the rest. I thought the best for your multiples outside of the top 3 key players was number 9, Pub Blitz. 6, 8, 10 and 9 from me in the 4th of the Inter-Dominion heats. Let's move over to Heat 5 now, and this is the Queensland heat. There's been a lot of debate. Should they have a heat? How many should get through, if any, through to the final? Well, if they're going to run a heat, there's got to be a lure there, and they've offered it by the way of just the one spot. I think common sense has prevailed. The trick with this heat, though, as we take a look at the fixed odds market, is the barrier draw. Field Officer is, in my mind, easily the best horse in this heat, but he's drawn awkwardly inside of the back row. G's run was good on Hunter Cup night in one of the support races, and before that he certainly wasn't disgraced in the Pure Steel, a race won by Marsish, and I'm Causing Terror was in that race as well. But Field Officer is at $2.80, Forever Gold courtesy of Barrier 1, the favourite at $2.60, and of course Avon Over, who might well be the leader, is at $4. Now I want to take you back to having a look at Field Officer's run at Melton last start. Gee, it was a good performance. Got a long way back. They ran home in some really quick times in this race, won by 2IC. There's Field Officer having to come 4 and 5 wide because the 3 wide trail he grabbed home on Jada Sun was no help at all. That's him in the black and white checks pulling 4 and 5 wide now. 2IC pulling out of the 1-1. You're a nut outside of the leader, but have a look at Field Officer right down the outside in the chessboard colours.
Up to Uranut. 2IC hit the lead and 2IC's too good. 2IC beat Uranut. The Cavalier may be third from Field Officer, then Carpenter's Daughter. Magical Telf ran on late from Gliding Rose, who gave a bold sight. Next time Blaze.
They ran home in the low 27s there, so Field Officers run home probably in the mid 26s. That's a terrific run. Horses like 2IC, Uranut would win this race, this Inter-Dominion heat easily if they had the right sort of draw. But that's the trick to it. He's drawn inside of the back row, Field Officer, and Michael Polster from Trot Tips up there in Queensland is worried that he could be buried. Field Officer 3 back on the inside. He sees that Forever Gold might hold up early, then take the trail on Avanova, and that could put Field Officer back on the inside. I've still got to tip him. Seeing is believing for me. I'm not sure they'll want to stay on the inside. I think Matty Nielsen will be desperate to get away from the inside if he can. I've got to go with him because I think he's better than his rivals, even though he will need a little bit of luck. 9, Field Officer on top to beat number 1 Forever Gold. She probably is better taking the trail. Tactically, she might be better off sitting on Avanova instead of leading and copping what will be some pressure in the middle stages and potentially having Field Officers sitting on her back. Avanova's been a revelation. I mean, he was just an honest battler, a claimer down in New South Wales, and he's gone to a whole new level since going to Queensland. And Devil Dodger, look, he's a bit of a shadow of the horse who made the Inter-Dominion final last year, but he might be able to get into your first fours. So that's the 5th heat. Let's go to the last of the 6 heats, and this has been the biggest betting heat. It's the one run at Gloucester Park. It produced the winner with I'm the Mighty Quinn last year, and I'm Victorious. Well, this money is just relentless for him. He's been $2.40 quickly into $2, into $1.80 by yesterday. Now he's into $1.70. And that $1.70, the $1.80 to $1.70 yesterday, comes despite the fact that Living on the Interest driver Clint Hall, the brother of Gary Hall Jr., who's driving I'm Victorious, has come out and said, I am holding the lead. I will not be handing up to I'm Victorious. Despite that, the punters think I'm Victorious will still be too good. David Hercules, he's flying, but he's drawn awkwardly inside the back row at $4.50, and Hockanui Ben has been 7 out to $8 from his back row draw. I'm going to take you back to I'm Victorious winning the Fremantle Cup. This was back on the 10th of January, and the key to this race is that he was able to come around, sit outside of the leader and beat Beddoes Fire on this occasion, who was strongly fancied to beat him. This is the sort of performance, if he produces, that he should be the one to beat in this heat. So he made the mid-race move, he got outside of the leader, and let's have a look at the final stages.
Victorious is drawing clear. It's I'm Victorious, a metre in front of Beddoes Fire, David Hercules and Hockanui Ben, and I'm Victorious has won another big race. I'm Victorious by 2.5 metres in the Fremantle Cup. Second, Beddoes Fire. Third, 5 metres away, David Hercules. 4 metres to Hockanui Ben, who ran 4th. And they'll follow by...
Well, have a look at that horse flashing home late. That was David Hercules from way back in the field. But if he'd drawn well, I think he might have been favourite, or at least the one to beat in this heat. But unfortunately, he's drawn behind a horse that you could probably say is very lucky to be allowed into an Inter-Dominion heat. Drawn Barrier 1, and David Hercules follows out that $151 shot. So let's go to my thoughts on the race. I'm going for I'm Victorious on top. I've got to tip him, but I'm a little wary now he's getting in so short. He'll be sitting outside of Living on the Interest. David Hercules will either be stuck up in traffic or a mile back and relying on them to set it up for a swooper, which seems unlikely. And Hockanui Ben, well, he was almost good enough to sit outside Living on the Interest and win last time. He's changed stables since. He's having his first run for new trainer Aldo Cortopassi after a disagreement, I guess, between owner Jerome Neuenberg and previous trainer Gary Hall Sr. I'm Victorious, 5 to beat 2, 8 and 10 in the last of the 6 Inter-Dominion heats for me. All right, let's get into my summary. Best bet-wise, look, I went for I'm Victorious, but I must admit I did that when he was around the $2 mark. I still think he's the best of those at a backable price. Race 1, number 5 at Gloucester Park on Saturday night is what he's classified as, even though it is Inter-Dominion Heat 6. Next best, Field Officer for me. I think the $2.80 is good enough. I think he's better than them, but he will need that little bit of luck. Albion Park, race 6, number 9. Let's go to that cross-meeting suggested big 6 for me. And in the first leg, we only need to take the 2 favourites. Terra to Love and also Smolder. In the second leg, I'm going to take Bow Tide, but with that little bit of insurance of my roughie of the night, and that is 2IC, so numbers 1 and 8. The Victorian heat, the Melton heat, is where you need to go wide with numbers 1, 4, 8, 9 and 11. Then we go to Heat 4. I'm not just going to take For a Reason here. I'm going to take For a Reason, Mac Beauty and also Franco Nelson, numbers 6, 7 and 10. In the Albion Park Heat, I'm taking Field Officer, but also putting in Forever Gold and Avon Over, numbers 1, 2 and 9. And then I think we can just come home with I'm Victorious, the way the barrier marbles have turned out, number 5. So that will cost you $45 to get a 25% share. So just a reminder again that we have got those guaranteed pools. The $50,000 guaranteed pool for the Crosscodes Big Six for the New South Wales punters, and also guaranteed $25,000 pools for the first 4. Let's have a look at the all-in winner market now for the Inter-Dominion. Bow Tide is into $3.40 to win the final. Smolder at $5.50. For a Reason at $6. Restrepo at $8. I'm Victorious at $8.50. And then we're out to $9.50 for Caribbean Blaster and the Gold Ace. So that's our look at the heats for the Inter-Dominion. Magnificent race night coverage coming up. Expanded coverage on Sky Racing 2. Greg Hayes will be heading it up. I'll be in the studio with him, and we'll have the likes of Gareth Hall, Mick Polster, Brad Hallows and also Jason Bonington trackside at some of the key venues to bring you the very latest news. It's going to be nothing short of fantastic racing, and it all gets underway at 8 o'clock tomorrow night on Sky Racing 2. Good luck, enjoy the magnificence of the Inter-Dominion. Look forward to having your company for the coverage on Sky Racing 2 on the heats tomorrow night.
This preview brought to you by Harness Racing Victoria.